Let me tell you why you need to be raising your prices every year. Because if you don't, you're slowly burying your business year after year. But don't just guess, raise them strategically and profitably. Because how you raise your prices is just as important as why. The way you do it can be the difference between keeping your best customers and losing them. I mean, think about it. The cost of fuel is rising. When I compared this year's statement with last year's, I found I'd spent $2,500 more just on fuel. Your labor costs more year after year. Your personal and business taxes are up. Equipment and repairs are more expensive. A mower that used to cost $13,000 now costs $16,000. And with inflation at 3.5%, we're all feeling the rising cost of living. But your customers are still paying the same price they were paying 2 or 3 years ago. This is sinking your business into the ground. So the question isn't whether you should raise your prices, because you have to. The question really is how you raise your price. And in this video, I'm going to show you the system I use to raise my prices every year, when you should be raising prices, and how to communicate everything to your clients without creating panic in your clients or you. I'll even give you an easy blueprint to follow when emailing your clients. A lot of lawn, snow, and landscape owners wait too long to raise their prices. They keep the same numbers for years, even though the cost of running the business keeps going up around them. Then one day they finally look at the numbers and realize they're being squeezed from every direction. That's usually when the price increase happens. The problem is, by that point, it's coming from pressure and panic instead of planning. If that's you, then this system is perfect for you. Here's how I do it. When it comes to raising prices, I do it every year. I do it in the middle of the season, and I treat it as a normal part of managing the business. And I do all of this in a way that's less impactful to the client and reduces the chance of pushback while keeping my rising costs covered. The key to raising prices is distributing the costs across all your clients. A small price increase over multiple clients makes a big difference. It doesn't really matter how many clients you have, 500, 100, 50, or even 25. If you add even just $1, you'll see a difference. Let's start with 25 clients a week. If you raise each account by $1 per cut, that's an extra $25 a week, $100 a month, or $1,300 a year. And that's just $1. If you raise that same client base by $3, now you're talking an extra $75 a week, $300 a month, and an extra $3,900 a year. As the client base begins to grow, so will the reward of raising your prices. At 50 clients, that's $150 a week, $600 a month, and $7,800 a year. At 100 clients, you're looking at an extra $300 a week, $1,200 a month, and $15,600 a year, all from just $3. Once you get to 500 clients and you raise your prices by just $3, you're now getting an extra $1,500 a week, $6,000 a month, and $78,000 a year. So when someone says it's only $1, they're only looking at one lawn. I'm looking at the whole route. That extra dollar helps cover the real costs of the business, from fuel and labor to insurance, repairs, equipment, and everything else it takes to keep the company running properly. Because if your expenses go up every year and your prices stay the same, your profit is slowly being cut away, one lawn after another. That's why I use a low, medium, and high pricing system. My low price is the minimum price I can and am willing to work for. That's important. My medium price is where I normally want to be. My high price is where I want the business to move toward. Then, every year or two, I move the ladder up. The old medium becomes the new low. The old high becomes the new medium. Then I create a new high. That gives me a structure for raising prices instead of just guessing or avoiding it altogether. It also stops me from getting stuck at the same number for years because I was afraid to change it. So the whole business is always moving towards more profitable pricing. Now, raising prices isn't just about adding 5 or 10% to every customer and hoping the number is right. You need to know what each property should actually be paying. That's one of the reasons I built the Rapid Quote Profit Generator. You can try it for free with the link down below. When it comes to raising prices, the timing of it is important too. A lot of people raise prices at the beginning of the season. I don't. Instead of raising prices here, I actually use this time to market in neighborhoods I want to work in, because at the beginning of the season, homeowners are already shopping around. They're comparing prices, getting quotes, and deciding who they want to use for the year. If you raise your prices before you've started working and proven yourself, you're actually giving them a reason to look elsewhere. Other guys wait until the end of the season, but I don't think that's the best time either. By then, the work is already done. And the client has time to shop around, think about the increase, and forget the value you brought them during the year. That's why I prefer the middle of the season. By the middle of the season, the client knows 3 things for certain: that you show up, that the lawn looks good, and that they get value from you. At that point, the increase isn't just a number on paper. They're weighing that small increase against the hassle of finding somebody else. Most good clients don't want that hassle. They don't want to start over with a new company, chase someone down, or gamble on a cheaper guy who may or may not show up and do the job right. Be aware, some people may still get upset and a few might leave. That's just a part of business. But if you handle it the right way, a lot of the good clients will stay because they already understand the value of the service. When I raise prices, I keep the explanation simple. I might say, due to rising market costs, inflation, labor increases, fuel prices, material costs, and the overall cost of doing business, we are making an adjustment to our pricing. That's not dramatic. That's business. Every real company has to adjust pricing when costs change. Quick tip, if you don't already, whenever you're sending a quote, you should include a clause that says something along the lines of, due to external economic factors, the price is subject to change without notice. This protects you later down the line and also gives the client a heads up. And every reasonable person understands this because they are experiencing it themselves. Sometimes, though, the reason is more direct. You might quote a property, service it 7 or 8 times, and realize the original price was too low. That happens. In that situation, you can be honest with the client. You can say, after servicing your property several times, I realize the original price is lower than it needs to be for the size of the lawn and the level of service we are providing. Then explain the adjustment clearly. I need to bring your account in line with other clients we service at a similar size and scope. Going forward, this will be the rate. That's fair. If you're cutting the same size property, providing the same level of service, using the same labor, and carrying the same costs, the price should make sense across the board. You cannot have one client paying what the job is worth while another client gets the same service for way less money forever. That's how profit leaks out of the business. This is where a lot of owners struggle. They want to stay busy, so they keep saying yes. They take the wrong jobs, accept the wrong prices, and keep clients who do not actually make sense for the business. Then they convince themselves everything is fine because the schedule is full. But a full schedule does not automatically mean you have a healthy company. You can work every day, have hundreds of clients, and still not make enough money to survive because your pricing is wrong. A lot of the time, the root problem is a mixture of fear and ego. Owners running on fear and ego would rather keep every client and look busy than admit their prices are too low. They're so afraid of losing people that they protect the client's budget rather than their own business. But those owners have it backwards. Clients pay us to cut their grass, maintain their property, and do the work properly. They don't pay us to manage their personal budget or keep our prices low forever. That doesn't mean you treat people badly. You can be respectful, fair, and clear with people while still protecting the business. Because if the business doesn't make money, it becomes harder to maintain equipment, pay good people, keep the quality up, and continue giving clients the service they expect. That is the part a lot of owners miss. Protecting your profit is not greedy. It's what allows the business to keep operating properly. So the method is simple. Know your lowest price you'll work for, your medium price, and your higher end price. I use my medium as a standard and a point to negotiate from, and I use my higher end price to raise to in the middle of the season. All of these numbers are built inside the rapid quote profit generator. Move the ladder up every year or two. Raise prices when the client has already seen your value, and use real, relatable costs to explain the increase. Remember, you might lose a few people along the way, and that's okay. The goal is not to keep every client forever. The goal is to build a business that can survive, pay its people, maintain its equipment, produce good work, and give the owner the profit and free time they wanted when they first started. If you wait until you're desperate, raising your prices will feel scary and stressful. But if you build price increases into the way you run the company, it becomes part of the growth strategy. And you'll thank your past self for getting over the fear, taking the leap, and getting paid what you deserve. Good luck out there.